And I enjoy doing this. As they say, the Yellow House on 4th. I took off today. I want you to know that. Jimmy called and asked, is there anything I can do? I said, no, I wisely took the day off to help. I said, so just come on and enjoy it. But we do appreciate everyone coming out that can cram in here. We're 4-0. I don't know if you know that or not. Everybody that has spoke in this house has won. We started with Dave Floyd. Then we went to Jim Bunning's been here.
Jim Bunning.
Of course, Ron Lewis and Brett Guthrie. So everyone that's been here and spoke. So we are 4-0. Don't screw it up. The only one that I guess we tried to work it out with Governor Fletcher, and that was the big joke that he couldn't get here, and he did not speak here, and he did not win. So let that be the lesson. So keep it up. But again, thank you. We're anxious to get a lot of these folks elected, and of course we have to turn it over to our great representative, the one that kicked it off, the one that was 1-0 for the longest, our rep, David Floyd.
Thank you. It's awful good of Rick and Nancy to host like this, and they got a fine family and a fine group of people who help them out all the time. And he's been such a great help to me, and I believe he just might have a little need for help here real soon. Is that right, Rick? Yeah. And I tell you, it's a real thrill to be a part of the Jimmy Higdon campaign, and I know that it's also a great thing to have so many distinguished guests here, and that's what I'm doing here. There's enough people to talk already, so I'm just here to introduce the real distinguished people, and I want to start off with our Congressman Brett Guthrie. Brett, this may be one of the times that Brett's not going to say anything, but I know Brett used to serve in the state senate here, and he was elected to the United States Congress in 2008, and he's still serving there, and he needs our help in 2010. So Brett, it's awful good to have you here, again. And if you want to keep the string going, you can speak one more time just for 2010.
2010.
All right, good. All right. Also in the Senate leadership, the caucus chairman is Senator Dan Syme from Louisville. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Rob Stivers. Senator Rob Stivers is the new Senate Majority Floor Leader, and a great leader that he's had in the Judiciary Committee and now in the whole Senate while we maintain our hold on the Senate. Rob?
Thank you. I hope everybody can see me back there. I know you might not, or hear me, but you might not be able to see me with the wall. But we appreciate you all opening up your house tonight for Jimmy. I think I have probably come the furthest of anybody to be here, about 200 miles tonight, and I will make it home sometime tonight. But again, this is, as David said, it's important to me. It's important to Senator Syme. Let me tell you this. It's important to Brett Guthrie. This is the year that we will be coming into the census, and when the census is taken, there will be a redrawing of congressional districts, and Brett Guthrie has stepped up to the plate to help us, have brought out of his own campaign funds a substantial amount of money for Jimmy. And if you don't believe it is not critical, when you want to think about a one-party government, you can think about cap and trade and taxing our electricity. You can talk about the health care, the Pelosi bill that says the Congressman Guthrie is fighting against. You can think about all the things that we need more Republican voices in Washington for. And that's where this local race has federal impact and will have substantial impact on what happens in Washington. But also, when you start thinking about what happens in the state of Kentucky, making us more business friendly, dealing with taxes, dealing with education, looking at spending our money wisely when we do spend it on things that make long-term difference and impact such as our schools, education, our infrastructure, our water, and our roads, and not doing things that just programmatically build up our budgets and then take away our assets that go on other areas that are not useful but increase our annual costs. Now, with this, we have a person here who understands the dynamics of state politics as it relates to federal politics and how the impact will be broad and far-reaching on the Jimmy Higdon race. And that is a person who is himself a candidate for a federal race, taking time out, being a strong Republican, a strong supporter of smaller government, more efficient government, more effective government. He gets it. He understands how this will affect Congressman Guthrie. He understands how this will affect Congressman Whitfield. He understands how it will affect Congressman Rogers. He has done so, and he has come here and he has pledged to give us money out of his campaign account because he does get it. And I thank him on behalf of the Republican-controlled Senate. Our special guest here, Rand Paul. Mr. Paul.
When the Republicans took over the state Senate, immediately there was this call. There was a little newspaper over in Louisville, and they would write sometimes, and they would say, "Those damn Republicans are just obstructionists. They're against everything." But you know what they didn't realize is, for so long we had had one party that they didn't realize that debate went on in politics. That you debated issues, and that it was a give and take. And that having a two-party system was something they had never seen. How long had it been since we'd had Republicans in charge of one branch?
Never.
Never before that. Maybe
Not the legislative branch.
not the legislative branch. So, I mean, it had been a long time in coming. There was an analysis in USA Today about 10 years ago, and they talked about what kind of government is the most conservative government. All Democrat, all Republican, or divided. And they did a lot of examples. They probably looked at 10 years of history in 20 different states. But you know what the most conservative government was? Divided government. If you have at least one branch, you'll get more conservative government. Now, I would like to have all three branches. But at the very least, we need to have one branch. And this race is going to be vitally important. We have to do it here. I hope people will open their wallets tonight and write checks. I was at a meeting, a national meeting of doctors recently, and Dr. Paul Brown, as a congressman, got up and he told this story. He said, "Well, I went and I was talking with this doctor, and he wanted to have a private meeting with me, and an hour later, this and this and that, and he was telling me about his golf game and how they bet $25 per nine, and he got up after I spent an hour with him, and he wrote me a $25 check." And he said, you know, the thing about politics, it takes more money than that. Think about how much you spend to go out and eat. You know, I mean, you have to write some checks. There are some groups that do. The attorneys write checks, the chiropractors write checks, the optometrists write checks, the doctors, my group, are the worst. So if there are any doctors in the crowd and you want to change that opinion, you need to be writing a big check tonight. I run for office, and I'll give you a very short spiel on my behalf before I turn it over to Jimmy, but I run for office because I'm worried about our country. I'm worried about the deficit. I'm worried about the deficit getting to the point where it's unmanageable. I'm worried about the deficit getting so large that we could destroy our currency paying for the deficit. And people say, "Oh, that's just crazy. That's doomsday talk, you know." But it has happened in civilized countries before. It happened to Germany in 1923. They so destroyed their currency that you've seen the pictures, they were wheeling it around in wheelbarrows. They burned their currency for fuel because it was worth more as a fuel than a currency. It can happen. Our deficit this year is $1.75 trillion, 13% of gross national product. We're spending money at 28% of our gross national product. These are historic highs, higher than even going back to World War II. We're spending money at $52,000 a second. I think the system is broken. And where I'm different than some is that I've been a Republican, my family has, since they came here in the 1880s. So I think that with that long history, we can self-examine a little bit and say we haven't always done the best job. At the very least, we can say that. We have to do a better job. We have to adhere to our platform better. We can't be voting for